Dad, can I still eat my hot dog even though it's burnt?
You know what, son? Let me give you a little history lesson. First off, of course you can still eat your hot dog if it's burned. I mean, that's just the reaction the hot dog has to the fire. Nothing changes.
Oh.
But, you want to know something? Back in my great pa's day?
What's that, Dad?
Well, you see, he used to eat hot dogs all the time. He loved them. All the time. But you know a thing about his hot dogs, son?
What's that?
They weren't good, nutritious, and pure like our hot dogs are today. God bless America. Unfortunately, back in my great pa's day, the working conditions, they were horrible.
Were they?
They were.
Tell
The
me about
butchers
it.
would work over 8 hours. 8 hours, son. You don't even work.
8 hours?
I have to pay your gas money.
I do like driving.
Oh, yes, you do, son. And they couldn't even do that back then.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, getting back to the point. The butchers that made these delicious hot dogs. Take a bite of your hot dog. See? Isn't that great?
Yeah, Dad.
Alright, so back in the day, here, let me take you over here.
Alright, Dad, let's go.
So when the butchers would work on their food, they would take the hot dogs and they were tired, they didn't know what they were doing, right?
Yeah.
So they'd have their hands and they just... And sometimes fingers would get in there. So people were eating hot dogs with fingers in them. And sometimes people would even fall into the mixing machine, son.
Really?
They would get mixed to death.
Wow.
Nobody would notice. They'd get them out. Well, that ain't much of a man no more, son. Now try chopping up your hot dog. Let's see how you do.
Watch this, Dad.
Ooh,
wow.
That's looking good, son.
Nice and right.
See? No nails in that one. My son killed it.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, son.
Ever since you talked about that stuff when we were making hot dogs, I got to reading, and there's this book called The Jungle. And on page 14, Sinclair talks about how rats would be poisoned by bread and then accidentally got thrown in the mixer.
That's outrageous.
I know, and it talked about all these fingers and everything going in there, and then I heard that since the meat happened to be expired sometimes, they would throw soda on it to cover up the smell.
Now, I could just not deal with that. Could you, dog?
No. So we have some questions, and I have to ask you about what social change caused this problem.
Well, obviously, you'd have to think that the only reason that the owners of this company would be doing this is for profit. I mean, this took place in the progressive era, for gosh sake.
Yeah.
All right? So, obviously, when you think about this, they needed to get their stuff out fast.
Yeah.
They didn't care about progress. They didn't care about if the meat was good. They needed money now.
I agree.
Didn't matter how much they paid the workers.
Okay, thanks, Dad.
No
now I have
problem,
another
son.
one.
Oh, another one.
What impact do you think the example of muckraking had on America?
Well, some people view the muckrakers as good. In today's society, you know, with fake news and all that, investigative journalists, ever heard of them, son?
Yeah.
Well, you see, back then, some could argue that we had a lot more problems. So muckrakers really brought a lot of good into the world, especially when they exposed problems like this. But believe it or not, son, when people read this book, they were more outraged at what they were eating in the meat than what the book was designed for. It was to expose the working conditions that the kids, the workers, they were always working, they didn't get health care, they didn't get any benefits, and they were paid pennies.
Oh, that's crazy, Dad. And I've got one more question before I go.
Sport.
How do you expect the government to fix this situation?
Well, obviously the government, like they did, everybody would expect them to come in with more rules, you know, hammer down on these businesses.
I agree.
You know, that's what the FDA is doing today. They're doing investigations, they're doing inspections. Well, I know back in my day, son, I worked in a summer camp in the kitchen, and oh man, we got an inspection, a health inspection. We barely passed that. They
Really?
nailed us for stacking eggs on top of celery. Just little things like that. Just they really care about the health, and the government will push to secure that its citizens' rights stay in place.
Thanks, Dad.
No problem, son.